I am your host, Michelle Shirley, CEO and Chief Heart Officer for Be Strong International. And of course, Be Strong is celebrating 31 years of service in Miami-Dade and serving Broward County as well, where we are teaching heart skills in schools and communities with families, married couples. And when we talk about heart skills, it's really relationship education, right? How do we get people to communicate well, love each other well, understand each other well, have compassion and empathy? So much important work that we're doing that is needed in our communities. And we look forward to you being a partner with us. And so, part of our show involves bringing on everyday amazing people that are doing incredible work in the community. And so today we have a special guest, a new friend of mine that I love dearly, and her name is Georgia Downey. She is the executive director of Explore Foster Miami. So welcome, Georgia.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Same. I'm so excited. This is a long awaited time.
Yes.
I booked you from, I'm like, I heard your story. We went out to eat and I'm like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, I need you to be on my show because I think people need to know what's happening with the foster care system and just how everyone can make a difference, right?
Yes.
And so that's why I brought you on, because it's incredible work that you're doing. You've got a lot of amazing support. And so I want you to share all the amazing things about Explore Foster Miami today with our viewers. So tell them a little bit about it.
Yes. Well, I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you for having me. I love you. I love Be Strong. And so Explore Foster Miami. We're a faith-based initiative. And so we're here to really be that connector and relationship builder between our local church. We want to get them activated in foster care, serving in different capacities, and the rest of our stakeholders. So that includes our government agencies, our nonprofits. So we really exist to just be that bridge of support for our city. And, the really cool thing is that, I know before I worked in foster care, I would always think like, man, that just feels so heavy. And, like so heavy. I don't know how I could serve in that capacity. But there are so many ways that an individual can step up. You don't just have to be a foster parent, which, of course, we need foster parents.
Right.
But you can mentor. You can be a guardian ad litem. You could host an event at your church. There's just so many. I mean, there's literally hundreds of ways. You could start a Bible study in your church, a support group for foster parents, a support group for biological parents, because the goal of foster care is for these kids to be reunited back with their biological parents. So you're providing that heart-warming space for them as parents are navigating the system.
Wow. And have you seen any sort of like this element of surprise, like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know that I could help in this way? Because I know for me, all I've heard throughout the years is become a foster parent. Right. And it was kind of like this one track thing.
Right.
Have you seen now that when you're dealing with nonprofits, churches, not only this element of surprise, but like the reward that they get? What are the stories and things that you're hearing?
Yeah, there's so many stories. I mean, we have one amazing church and they wanted to serve, but they didn't know how. And that's where we come in and we really walk with them and support them and hold their hands and connect them to the right people and stakeholders and partners. But, there was a really, really amazing story of a church, Providence Road Church, and they're incredible champions. And they started just by saying yes and saying, okay, we want to serve. We don't know how. And they liked the idea when we presented different options of hosting a foster parents night out, which if you don't know, foster parents burn out on average between 9 to 12 months. And so they feel under-supported. It's a shock to their system. It's a big life change. And so they started hosting these quarterly events where the foster parents could get some respite. And then the children were served, and tons of fun and activities and games all night. And a really cool story was a foster parent who had 3 or 4 kids. Circumstances happened where they could no longer foster, and one of the volunteers felt called to foster and took in those kids. And that was just like
Wow.
a beautiful story of what can happen when we say yes.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can imagine how those kids felt.
Mm,
You know, there's a tearing of like
yeah.
what you've been experiencing with this family, and now they're no longer able to do it. And where do you go?
Yeah.
And here comes someone in the same sphere that says, I'm willing to take you on. That must have been an incredible moment.
It was.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
was.
Wow. 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 That's good stuff. I want to ask you too about if there's a way that you could educate us about what's happening in the foster system right now.
Yeah.
know?
Well, there's a lot of cool things that are happening that are actually good things. One, there's around 1,500 kids in Miami-Dade County who need foster parents. They're in the system, right? So either they're going to go back to their biological parents or they need to seek permanency in some way, shape, or form. Because the last thing we want is for a child to go through the system and then what they call age out of the system. They're at high risk for homelessness, human trafficking, even greater mental illness, trauma, incarceration.
Wow.
So right now, of course, we have our great government organizations that are licensing foster parents. But this year, we have two organizations, For Kids, which has been around for like 25
Yes.
years in Broward. They're incredible. And One More Child, who has been here
Oh,
for
yes.
many, many decades. And so they are stepping up and providing licensing specifically for church families. And there's faith-based components and wraparound support that really model the way a church family wants to live.
Wow.
And so really there's this great movement that's happening that we're seeing. And our prayer and our hope is that, gosh, every child has a home. Every child has a home and feels that sense of safety and stability.
Wow, that's so good. That's so good. So tell me how did you get into this, right? I mean, of all the things that you could be doing, why this specific niche of foster youth? How did you get involved? And then we'll talk a little bit later
Yeah.
about like the acting and the singing that we talked about before the show.
I don't know. God knew what he was doing because I certainly didn't. I was working in real estate and development. I was in business.
What?
I was in business, but I knew from a very early age, I just didn't want to necessarily heed the call, but I knew I was called to ministry. And I just thought, okay, God, when that happens, I'll do it like, in my 40s or 50s or 60s, like much older in life, But he had different plans. And so it was really a bunch of circumstances really during COVID. And this opportunity came to write an engagement report on foster care. And I remember like in my interviews with our incredible committee that I report to, I was like very transparent. Like I wasn't trying to boast. I was like, I don't know anything about foster care.
And then it's like, you're hired.
Yeah, you're hired.
How does that work?
Exactly. So, I really call it a God thing.
Right.
And, I've learned so much. I feel like I just was immersed into the system and all of my preconceived notions have just been completely squashed too.
Wow.
So I've been very grateful and blessed to serve in this space.
Wow. I like the fact that you said, when you were called, I hear people, and even publicly, there was a singer that I saw recently, who's a country singer that said that now he was going into ministry. But most of the time you assume that it's going to be like, you're going to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be a priest or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nun or something like that. So for you to say the nonprofit, right, is ministry, I think that's pretty unique. And maybe that opens the doors of thinking to some who are on that faith journey.
Yeah.
And are thinking that it's in this square where I have to be a clergy.
Right.
Right? So that's pretty
so
cool.
True. And, that's what I thought at first when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work in a church, which sounds awesome to me.
Right.
But like there's so, because God's heart is for his people. And so there's so much brokenness, unfortunately, in the world and so many spaces we can serve.
Yeah.
And so if you feel called to ministry, I would just say keep praying and keep being open that God can call you in different spaces.
So cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this acting, singing career. Because now I'm hearing like, well, first of all, I think it's incredible that you were vulnerable in your interview to say, I know nothing, and then you're hired, right? So you're here now, today's executive director. But I think the business part that you came from, the real estate world, the business development,
Yeah.
then you're talking about acting and singing. I'm almost like, what have you not done yet at this
Well,
point?
it's funny because I feel like, I don't have any career trajectory as much as other people, who's like been an accountant for 15 years or
Right.
something. But yeah, from a very early age, I loved singing. I loved dancing. I started training really young. I
Wow.
went to a conservatory for singing and acting. And I thought like, this is it. And the interesting thing is that was who I was. I felt like this is who I am. And everyone who I knew identified, yeah, Georgia, she's the singer. Georgia, she's the actor. And it was so funny because I started in show business and
Wow.
it was the most grueling, most difficult business I have ever encountered. And I just really felt, as a woman of faith, there were just, and I've had a long journey of faith, but I just felt like, gosh, there's so many opportunities that I was saying no to because it just didn't fit my heart.
Yeah.
And eventually I really, really felt like God asked me to step down. And when I had that moment, I honestly felt like, what's left?
Right.
If I step down from this, who am I?
Yeah.
And I
wow.
had to really learn, like, I'm a child of God, like, period.
Right. Yeah.
And so my identity and whose I was had to change. And so that was a really pivotal moment for me because now I don't identify, what I do is not who I am. It's whose I am, which is in Christ.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. And I think too, we can fall into this sort of systematic thinking, like everything I do is who I am,
Right.
And I got challenged even with the question, like, I've been so invested in Be Strong and really, and to be honest with you, I was on the phone with a colleague and we're just like, we're like this little engine that could, like, we're just
I feel
doing
that
all
way
this
too.
amazing work and people are noticing it now. And definitely we have recipients who come back and say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You've changed the trajectory of our life. Which is what we want to do. But then the question was asked to me, like, who are you apart from Be Strong? And I was just like, I don't know. I've been here half my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that you really have to still understand I'm a wife.
Yeah.
I'm a mother, right? I'm all these things that Be Strong is like an assignment. It's one of those things where it's like you taking this on. Deep down inside, you're passionate about this work. It's a God-given, drive to make this thing go forward. And it can get convoluted too in that, like making sure that I can always step back and reflect on, okay, am I still walking in my purpose? Am I still? And I think people have to go through that and check themselves every once in a while. Like, am I still walking in, my purpose? And I actually had another CEO that was on the last time, and she was an accountant, Tina Brown, CEO of Overtown Youth Center, saying that she was an accountant. She was doing her thing.
Yes.
And then here comes this opportunity out of nowhere. Like, I think you could be this. You could work at this nonprofit and help grow it and build it. And today she's a CEO, right?
Yeah.
And she talked about her faith too and the humility of what it means to lead, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's such a challenge.
Humility
Yeah.
It's the main word.
Right? Yeah. So I say all that to say, how I know that there are situations in which people still sort of reject the idea of helping and jumping in and getting their feet wet and their hands dirty on a thing that I think for most of us, it's unknown, it's unclear. We see what the need is, but we're selfish, right? We don't want to pour out ourselves too much, right? We don't want to be emotionally entangled in a thing that now becomes our baggage of weight too, right? We don't want to carry each other's burdens in a sense. How have you been able to deal with that as you grow? Because I've seen it, but I'm sure from your perspective, how do you?
Yeah, I think it's really also about like demystifying the system and just our hearts, because I know every time I serve in this space or just serve in general, I get blessed from it.
Yeah.
Probably it feels like more than the child or the kid or the teen, right? And I think it's just educating people like if you have an hour a month, 2 hours a month, like whatever you have, you can serve and really, really make an impact. I mean, these are our next, and you fill in the blank. These
Yeah.
kids are going to age out of the system or go into some type of permanency or go back to their biological families, but they're going to be a part of society whether we like it or not. So we can either invest in them or not and pay the consequences of that. So I really try to remind myself too, this is really a community issue too.
Yeah.
You really to serve them, to serve these parents. We don't want these kids to be incarcerated or homeless or trafficked or, have all of these horrendous outcomes. We want them to be a serving and abiding and productive citizen in Miami-Dade. So really, I feel like a lot of it is on us to invest in them.
Yeah. I think that's so powerful. And I think that gift of giving, right? It does something to you, the individual. It's been proven, right? It's in research that something happens when you're able to share a little bit of yourself with someone else and understand that, when you in retrospect looked at your life and you look at all the blessings that you have,
Totally.
right? You don't want to just keep it to yourself. You want to make sure that you share some of that with others who are not as fortunate. And it just does something to your being and to your spirit, man. So I think that's
so
incredible to share. Yeah. And if we were all serving and not just checking off a box corporately, right? But just really every business, every organization, just saying, okay, come on, what are the needs in our community? How do we have some collective impact around some of these issues? Man, right?
We would
Game
change
changer.
our city.
Game changer already,
change our
right?
city,
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Totally.
So anyway, we're going to play a little bit of the game Social Yaks because that's part of
I'm excited.
this show, right? And so Social Yaks, if you haven't seen it already online, this is for sale. It is a game created by Be Strong International, and we are so excited about it. We've played it we actually just left Tennessee. We played it in Tennessee at a youth leadership conference, and pretty amazing. So the first level is breaking the ice, right? So we're going to get to know you a little bit. So if you pick up one of the blue cards there, you can read the question aloud and then answer as best you can.
This is a good one. Okay. What food do you dislike the most? And I answered this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 100% it's cauliflower. I don't understand why God made it. And I don't understand why people want to make it into cauliflower rice. I don't understand it at all. It tastes like mushy paper to me. So
Really?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I might have to take you to some vegan restaurants that I've gone to where they make it so
Really?
yummy
I'm
and
all about
good.
vegan restaurants, but maybe I don't season it right. It just is like a bland.
Have you tasted it anywhere at a restaurant where they have like kind of like Brussels sprouts, right? Whereas a kid, you're like Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels
sprouts. And then
sprouts.
now you go to a restaurant and it's all like it's an appetizer.
Yeah.
It's all like, filleted, or I don't know what they call it. But
I probably need to go to more restaurants to try to dispel this this thing in my mind, But as of right now, it's 100% no.
That's
for
a
me.
strong don't like. When you say like, God, I don't even know why this is here. Like, I don't even know why cockroaches exist. Like, I just hate them.
That's another one. Yeah.
Why are you here, right?
Right.
So funny. Okay, so we'll do another one.
Okay.
Another blue one, yeah.
Okay. What makes you feel loved the most? That's a deep one. I would say, not to sound like all corny or whatever, but really just when I feel the presence of God and my church community and my friends, there's nothing better than his presence for me.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next level is get social.
Okay.
This is about going a little bit deeper.
Oh, okay. This one is a little harder. What are you most passionate about? Well, I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I would say, if I look at everything I've done, I really love people and I love serving God's people. And
That's
so
beautiful.
I don't know what space or way that is, but that's what I really enjoy most, I think.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Aww.
I know.
That's so awesome. I can see you like on a mission trip somewhere,
Yeah.
like just doing some incredible
I would love to go.
work
I
and
haven't been
stuff.
on a mission trip like out of the country in a
Yeah.
long time.
Oh, wow. Pretty cool. All right. So we
Okay,
have
pick
one
up
more
this
there.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. What's something that you are grateful for? These are like very much like Thanksgiving questions. You like ask around the table. Gosh, I'm grateful for so much. I'm grateful for the beautiful city we live in.
Absolutely. Miami's amazing.
I was at a meeting yesterday and we met at for work. We met at a hotel like poolside lunch.
Right.
I'm like looking at all of these people. They're laying out. They're getting served. I'm like, people come here to vacation. And I think sometimes I forget that.
Yeah.
I used to.
Right.
And so we just live in such a beautiful, diverse city. So I just am trying to
know.
be grateful for where we live.
Yeah, that's true. Beyond the traffic.
Yeah, beyond the negative.
Right?
Yeah, beyond the negative.
Yeah, and like going to the beach. Just going to the beach. Like the
Seriously.
amount of people that live in Miami, born and raised, and don't go to the beach.
I am.
It's just like
I don't go to the beach as often as I should.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And people are here jealous of us.
I know.
I mean, not this week.
Yeah,
The rain
yeah.
is not great this
Yeah,
week.
the
but
rain is not
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go a little deeper on our third
cool.
level.
Third level. What do you look for in a partner / or friend? It's like or friend.
Yeah.
Okay. These are hard, but good. These are awesome questions.
And we're not really playing it like the right
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Like I'm supposed to be with you and we're supposed to be sharing and becoming vulnerable. But, you know, it's all about you today.
Yeah, let me get vulnerable. Well, I would say, what do I look for? Gosh, really somebody who, has a heart for God, but sometimes, that's okay if they don't. They just have a heart to serve people.
Yeah.
Definitely humor is really big for me.
Yeah.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Just like the basic things, honesty,
Yeah.
So I think those are like really key things. I have to laugh. I laugh a lot. And so if I can't laugh with somebody, it's really hard for me to be their friend or partner or whatever.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. Awesome.
Okay, next one.
Yep.
All right. What is something you think people do not understand about you? That is a good question. I would say that I think sometimes people can like look at us and give us labels. Just naturally we do it in society all of the time. So somebody might look at me and go, oh gosh, I bet she's had an easy life and things have come easily for her and opportunities but I would say that's not the case. And I've definitely gone through a lot of trials and overcome them like in Christ, but I think it's kind of when we have those preconceived ideas of people that, they've never struggled or they've never gone through pain or hardship. And that's definitely not the case with me. I definitely have.
Yeah. No, and I know we talked about some of that offline.
Yeah.
Which made me fall in love with you. Oh my gosh.
Likewise. You're my new
Story.
bestie.
I know. Like I'm making besties everywhere.
I know.
All right. So the last level, it flips where typically we would have gone back and forth. I'd be playing too, like I said. And this last level is really what's interesting about this game is that after you've opened up yourself and you've become vulnerable and people around have listened to you and kind of gotten to know you through some of the stories and the things that you're sharing. This last level helps to kind of seal you a bit. It's kind of like leaving some encouraging words so that you can go on, be empowered, and go back out there and do all that you've been doing. So it's called Use Wisdom. That's why the owl is on there.
Okay.
So you would have picked this.
Okay.
And then you would have read it, but I'll read it to you. It says, where do you see me in the next 5 years? Right? So I have to answer that for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm like, this is hard. I don't know, Georgia. I brought you on the show because what you shared with me about what happens with the foster youth and just in general, what you're doing with the faith-based community. I think it's so impactful and so needed. And I think they're an element of society, just like the nonprofits and just like the government, right? We need the faith-based community to step up and serve, right? And love on people. And I feel like because you've done what you've done so well in the short time that you've been there, I feel like in the next 5 years, I can see you just being this amplified voice for not just youth, but like for families and for getting people. It's almost like I feel like you have this gift to draw people to you and then galvanize them to push them out, you know? And so I feel like in the next 5 years, I don't know if you'll be able to explore Foster Miami, but I do feel like that next level for you is really getting people engaged in real community work, galvanizing them around, whether it's a similar mission or something else, but that skill you have of having people really love you and wanting to be around you because you're just this glowing light
Oh
of
my God.
energy
I love you.
that I feel like people you're gonna move it. You're gonna like say, okay, come on guys, this is the next thing.
Yeah.
And I need everybody to round up. We gotta go. We gotta make this happen, you know? So hopefully that comes to
It's the kindest thing I have ever heard in my life. I love you so much. That was so inspiring. I'll be back next week.
But it's true.
Oh my goodness.
It's true when we met, and that's why I brought you on, because when we met and just hearing your story and just hearing all of the things that are happening in our community with foster youth, I remember at one point in my life, I met a young lady who was she had actually just about aged out. And at the time I had a condo and I was just trying to figure out like, how can I get her to just stay somewhere safe, get her the help that she needs,
Yeah.
live there, just pay the rent that you need to pay. Like, don't worry about me. Just live there and be safe and go to school. And I really felt like I just wanted to be there for her to do that. And I was able to talk her through and help her through certain things. And she had a brother as well, and they were separated. But that was my first touch of seeing a young lady alone and trying to survive on her own. And I think from that moment, it did something to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I come from a family where we're just naturally giving, and it's just like, you know, especially if you go to my dad's house, like you can't leave without like some underwear, shirts, clothes, you know, food. It's just like ridiculous. It's like, what are you doing, right? These people. So, but I think for me, that's why I wanted people to hear your message of hope and what we could do with the generation that is missing guardianship. They are missing someone that could steward over them and encourage them and love on them and be that safety net that children need. Like, we work with children and we see the damage that is done when they're not getting, you know, the hierarchy of needs that they need, right? We all need it.
So
I'm an adult and I still need every once in a while my husband to make sure like, hey, you loving me, right? You're still in love with me, right? I still make you happy. I'm still, you know.
Absolutely.
And imagine a young child, right? So tell the audience today how they can get in touch with you, how they could learn more, what's the best way to reach you, your website, all that good stuff, so that not even churches, but nonprofits could jump in and get involved, because we're dealing with some of these same instances. When we're serving a family, you know, we may have a situation that's there and we may be able to help. So,
I would love to. And that was so beautifully said, because that's really what we want to do. We want to inject hope into these children, into these youth, into these families. And so if you're a business, if you're a nonprofit, if you're an individual, if you're a church, like, we want to talk to you. And so you can go on our website, explorefostermiami.com. You can go to the Get Involved tab, and we'll contact you. And you can go on our Instagram, Explore Foster Miami, and start following us.
Awesome.
And I can't wait to talk to you. That's one of my favorite things. It's just to talk to people. So we'll get you plugged in or answer all your questions and walk with you and guide you towards next steps in serving in whatever capacity.
So good. So good. Well, I'm excited. I hope today this puts Explore Foster Miami out there on the map. I hope that you get the calls from the businesses and the other local leaders that could support these young kids that need some hope and some guidance and some safety, security, of a place place to live and all
Yes.
of that. So I hope you get that. And then with that said, here it is, Be Strong again, bringing in another amazing organization that is doing incredible work in Miami. And we hope that you will continue to visit us too on our website to learn all the amazing things that are happening at Be Strong. Follow us on all of our social media pages at Be Strong INTL. Don't forget to check out our game, Social Yaks, as well, an amazing tool that will allow people to become vulnerable and show compassion and empathy for one another. And so, I hope that this message today encouraged you to be open, to take care of one another, and learn how to love each other well in any capacity that you can. Talk to you soon.